Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to address the aquarium waste professional soil and wastewater analysis lab testing in this video. So we're going to run through this, and I'll try to answer what I believe are the most frequently asked questions about this professional testing. So first things first, you'll notice that the entire top half of this analysis is listed as dry basis. And then towards the bottom, we've got a block for as is spread. So I want to talk about the difference between those two. So for the dry basis, imagine taking aquarium gunk and putting it in an oven until every single drop of water has evaporated out of the detritus. What would be left is 100% solid with no moisture. This is the dry basis, and the measurement of the dry basis tells you the true potency and nutrient profile of the material itself without the water diluting the numbers. So it allows you to compare this detritus to other fertilizers like store-bought dry pellets and things like that, things you would find at both the local fish store and the local home improvement store. It allows you to compare them and do so on a level playing field. Now, that's a common type of way that soil or wastewater would be analyzed by one of these soil and wastewater analysis labs. These are an agricultural test facility that specializes in figuring out the best way to grow plants. And the next one is as is spread basis. So it's kind of what you would think in comparison to dry, right? So as is means as is. It's a percentage in some cases, which is the moisture content, the total solids. And then for the rest, we've got pounds per ton. And we're going to talk about that. So for your as is spread, this basis is the real world measurement. It accounts for the fact that the sample still has 11% moisture as seen in the lab results. And if you were to just grab like a handful of this stuff and toss it into your garden, or take a net and swish it around and just really catch as much detritus in that net as you can, and then lift it up out of the aquarium, this is going to be the as is spread. It's less pure of a result than testing for the dry basis because some of the weight is just going to be moisture in the form of aquarium water. Now, like I mentioned before, some of these percentages here that are listed can be confusing because you're like, okay, well, some of this is listed as, just as an example, 2.57% nitrogen, but below that, we've got iron listed as some crazy measurement. What do those mean? So I'm going to break it down, okay? The percentages is what's used for macronutrients. These are the big players that plants need in large amounts. So percentage of what, right? It's the percentage of the total weight. So for example, the nitrogen being 2.57%. This means if you have 100 grams of dry detritus, then you would end up with 2.57 grams being pure nitrogen. So why would you use a percentage for this? Well, we use percentages for things like nitrogen, carbon, and calcium because they make up a significant portion of the bulk of the waste. It's the easiest way to see things like the NPK ratio. You'll find it's percentages whenever you look at really any fertilizer. Now, below that, we've got the milligrams per kilogram. And you're probably thinking, what the heck does that mean, right? These elements are present in such tiny amounts that using a percentage would look ridiculous. So if we were to translate, for example, copper, it would be 0.0038%. So instead, we use the milligrams per kilogram, which gives us a whole number that's much easier to read and compare. And the easiest way to explain it is 1 milligram per kilogram is the same as 1 part per million. So imagine a giant bag of 1 million different marbles. If 38 of those marbles are red, then that is 38 milligrams per kilogram in a sense. It's tiny, but for plants, those trace amounts are essential. Now, below at the bottom, for the as is spread basis, we've got that pounds per ton, like I mentioned before. This is just an agricultural standard for fertilizer. So why does it get used? Labs use this rating of pounds per ton because farmers and commercial growers of plants don't think in grams, they think in fields. So if a farmer wants to use aquarium detritus as an example, as a fertilizer for crop, they need to know how many pounds of nitrogen they're going to put down per ton of waste that they're spreading out. So in this example, for every ton of the aquarium waste as it sits, as is, with the moisture and everything, you're delivering 52 pounds of nitrogen. And it's actually quite impressive for a waste. And it proves that this aquarium waste has significant value as a soil amendment, just as a minimum for use in terrestrial plants. And I think that's why it's been so easy for the hobby to accept taking your aquarium water change water, which is typically full of detritus if you're gravel vacuuming or removing detritus or aquarium waste while you do your water change, which a lot of people do. So what we want to really look at here as far as the results are concerned, the carbon and nitrogen make up a C to N ratio, which is very important when it comes to growing plants when you're looking at an organic waste that's going to break down and feed your plants. So, I mean, you can't make this up how perfect of a fertilizer this aquarium waste is. The carbon being 27% and nitrogen 2.57% are really the stars of this whole deal. The C to N ratio of 10 to 1 is the golden ratio for soil health. It means that material will break down easily and release nutrients into the water column quickly without locking up in the soil. And this test, again, it just proves that your aquarium waste is like a high quality fertilizer. And I have to say, every single state in the United States has a soil and wastewater analysis lab. If you're lucky, there's multiple. So I've had multiple people tell me that they're going to get their aquarium detritus tested and we can kind of compare numbers. But again, it's going to come down to what you're feeding your particular aquarium. So just because my aquarium detritus or aquarium waste testing says this doesn't mean that it's guaranteed that yours will as well. So you want to keep that in mind. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.